Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Citrix GoToAssist. GoToAssist offers a secure, cloud-based solution for IT and customer support professionals to provide live and unattended remote support to their employees and customers working from any computer or mobile device. For a 30-day free trial, visit gotoassist.com. And by Full Sail University. Full Sail offers both online and campus degree programs centered on real-world experiences in the entertainment, media, arts, and technology industries. For more information, visit fullsail.edu/AAA. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android, episode 179, recorded on Tuesday, September 16th, 2014. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Gina Trapani.
How's it going, Gina?
Good to be here.
Good. Let me see your wrist. Are you sporting a little Moto 360? Oh, there we go. Boom.
Love it.
Yeah, you're liking it?
Yeah, liking it way better than the Guatch. Just looks alone. I'm a vain, sad creature, and I like it a lot.
Excellent. Well, I agree that I am a vain, sad creature, not that you are. And I agree. Yeah, I'm liking it. We're going to talk all about it because we actually have somebody else that's on the show that also has had a lot of experience with it. And our technical director, Bryan, by the way, has the Moto 360, right?
I do. I didn't have the mic, but I had the 360.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, yeah, we're going to talk all about that. But let's welcome our guest today. We don't have Ron, but in place of Ron, we have Russell Hawley, mobile editor at geek.com, and all-around awesome guy. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
You betcha. So Russell, before we move on, you're wearing glass right now. You're obviously dedicated to the glass platform. Has your opinion of glass changed at all since kind of the emergence of Android Wear?
There are definitely a couple of things that I want from Android Wear to happen on glass. But for the most part, I don't think so. I mean, a lot of the notification stuff was, already there. It was kind of already persistent. I like the way that I can use it for turn-by-turn navigation and not have to look away from the window when I'm driving or anything like that. So it's definitely, I can't wait for the promise that was made that, the Wear framework is going to come to glass. I think when that happens, it'll be pretty exciting. But there are definitely times where, I enjoy taking these off and putting an Android Wear watch on. So it's weird that I'm not technically happy. I'm not thrilled with either platform yet.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. It's like they each kind of promise a certain thing and deliver part of it, and you can kind of see that maybe eventually they'll get there, but right now it still feels like early days. Even though glass at this point, I mean, we're talking, this is a 3-year product almost, right?
I've had mine for a year and a half now, so yeah.
And I mean, before that, we'd heard about it at least a year and a half before it was made public. So I suppose it's been in the public hands for a year and a half, but or so. So yeah. I would agree with that. But yeah, turn-by-turn navigation in glass is kind of hard to beat. You're not going to drive down the street going like this.
All right.
Yeah, it's true.
But so we have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We're going to be talking all about things like Android One, big news there. Android Silver, maybe less news, more rumory, but interesting nonetheless. Android apps on Chrome, Nexus TV. If you hadn't heard about that, it's a thing, and then it kind of wasn't. Impressions of the Moto 360, of course, and Google Voices merging into Hangouts, which was news that literally made my week better the minute I heard it. And I'm sure we've all played around with that a little bit. So we have a lot to talk about this week. Let's get right into the news.
Now it's time to tune in to Android News.
It's good to have you back, man. How was your honeymoon, by the way?
It was awesome. I had a great time. Got to swim with the dolphins and check out Disney World and stuff. Yeah, it was fun.
So you went to
Right
Florida.
on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still made sure to tune in though in the show because there's a lot of cool stuff going on.
Did you find yourself on Tuesday night right around 5:30 Pacific time just saying that, using that voice out of nowhere?
Yeah,
It's
it
like,
was really weird.
my life feels incomplete if I don't do that.
I kept thinking to myself, I got to watch All About Android.
And your wife is like, what did I just do marrying this guy?
At
She does that a
8:30
lot.
in the evening on your honeymoon. I don't know. I feel sad.
That's true.
I was very looking at my email all the time too to see if the Moto had shipped yet. So
Man, you're psyched for
Right.
it. Cool. Well, let's save that for hardware. We got plenty to get to before we get there. Gina, our favorite part of the news segment came
Time
true late last
Favorite
week.
time of the month here. Yeah, we've got the Android platform distribution numbers. Those for September are now up. So developers are still looking at about 12% of Android users running Gingerbread and Froyo. Otherwise, 9.6% on Ice Cream Sandwich, and the remaining 78.3% are on Jelly Bean and Kit Kat combined. Kit Kat is 24% 1 year after it was announced, 11 months after it launched. So, look, I don't know. Maybe this is because I'm getting old or what. But to me, it's like if it's Jelly Bean or Kit Kat, like you're good. And that's 78% of the user base. Of course, these numbers, Google compiles, it's like it's active users hitting the Google Play Store in like the last 7 days. So that's, take that with a grain of salt. This isn't for, devices that are not running Google Play. But yeah, these numbers are looking great. I mean, every time we report on this, we're like, this isn't really news because fragmentation isn't really a problem anymore, but it used to be. When do we stop reporting on this?
It's true. I do wonder when we stop reporting on this. Sometimes the numbers thing comes up and I'm like, would it really matter if we didn't talk about it? But I always feel like it's kind of a habit at this point that we have to.
Yeah.
It'll be worth it when a
70% Jelly
segment
Bean are bigger.
disappears entirely.
Yeah, that's true. That's like proof positive that something good has happened if the segment disappears, because then it doesn't have a reason to exist.
When Froyo just falls off the chart entirely, there should be some kind of party.
It's got to happen soon. Although, part of me would feel kind of sad, but not really that sad. Just from a looking backwards in time, longing perspective maybe. But
plus, we're going to be playing this whole game again in what I'm assuming is like a month or so anyway.
It's true.
With L, yeah.
We're going to have a whole new chunk of the pie.
It's true. So, Gina, your outlook on Jelly Bean / Kit Kat being okay, that might end up changing somewhat soon, right? Because then that would be a pretty major, major revision in the past. Well, maybe not major, but
it feels like Ice Cream Sandwich was, like pretty different, but Jelly Bean Kit Kat, I don't know. I'm basing this on nothing other than just sort of gut. Like Jelly Bean Kit Kat feel like the current versions, and L I think will kind of go in there. Any honeycomb Ice Cream Sandwich, and those two I think were kind of like really like a little bit out there, old, like good try, happy to move on kind of operating systems. Jelly Bean's like great, feels still to me, to my perception, modern Android. But I don't think that developers are like quibbling over Jelly Bean and Kit Kat. It's just my impression. So I don't think L will make that much big of a difference. Although it'll be interesting to see, how quickly it takes L to take over from Kit Kat and for Kit Kat to take over from Jelly Bean. I mean, it is really interesting that Jelly Bean is more than 50% of the pie, right? But there were 3 releases of Jelly Bean, so that contributed to it.
Well, okay. So think about this, because this really ties into the next story, I think. And one big reason I think Google is doing this project called Android One. This is Google's effort to bring Android smartphones, of course, to the next 5 billion. They said when they unleashed news that this was finally taking place yesterday. 5 billion users currently not using smartphones. It's launched yesterday in India. Micromax, Spice, and Carbon are all selling their own models of Android One. And if you remember back from Google I/O, Android One is essentially kind of a platform that Google has developed where they kind of offer a menu of device choices that manufacturers can pick and choose and create kind of their own Frankenphone, backed entirely by Google. It's going to get updates from Google. It can't have any custom overlays or anything like that. And it's meant to be a really low-cost entry point for places where people just aren't using smart devices yet, and that's kind of where Google sees their future in increasing their numbers. Kind of ties into the updates, right? If they're very successful with this and they control the platform the way that they intend to with Android One, this could be really good for those numbers, for this chart that we see, where suddenly a version L comes out of the gate, and depending on what the numbers are, how many of these 5 billion people, of course, not all those people are going to buy one of these, but how many of them do, that directly influences that chart in a positive way as far as that's concerned. I don't know. I suppose we'll see how that plays out, because obviously it just launched yesterday.
I think more interesting, I mean, Android One in and of itself is really cool, but I think the part of that announcement that really caught me by surprise was one of the carriers in India, Google's footing, like, not only providing the updates, but footing the bill for the data on those updates.
Yep.
And I thought that was huge, because that is definitely a hurdle in many of those situations, is not having data left and choosing, do I have the ability to send emails for the next couple of days, or do I update my phone? It isn't a decision that has to be made, and I thought that was a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's
really cool.
That's a really good point, because the price of the device is only one piece of that puzzle. If you're talking, a community that has very, very limited funds, sure, $100. And so, by the way, this is 6,399 rupees. Everybody knows that translates to $105, right? So $105 might be an inexpensive device to us, but to somebody of in some of these areas is being targeted by Android One. That's probably still expensive, and B, the data plan could be even more expensive in the long run than that. So I think that's a really important component to that. I hope that more carriers do that. Let's see here. So specs real quick on these three devices: 4.5-inch display, 1 gig of RAM. This could have been in the hardware section. 5-megapixel rear-facing camera, 2-megapixel front-facing camera. So they're going to get their selfies. 1.3 gigahertz quad-core MediaTek processor, dual SIM. That's important. Micro SD card slot. And that's kind of interesting, because you're talking about a Google-backed device that has micro SD, when Google is very vehemently trying to move on beyond micro SD and encourage OEMs to not include micro SD card slots on their devices. So that's interesting. FM radio. What's up?
You're also talking about a part of the world where the cloud isn't necessarily a
totally.
constant option. So.
Totally.
Right.
No, it makes perfect sense, particularly for the location. But it's interesting. It's Google saying, well, it's okay over here, and that kind of goes against their cloud-only philosophy, that we've been hearing for the last couple of years.
It's true.
Expanded Hindi language support, local publications in Google Play newsstand, so that'll tailor to the local culture. YouTube offline viewing capabilities. Hope we see that eventually. So that'll basically save them if they play a video on YouTube. They're only downloading it once, and then it's stored offline, more or less. And they save the data, having to get it again. So, I don't know, pretty cool stuff. I'm very, very intrigued to see how this plays out, and if this is affordable enough to make a serious impact. What do you guys think?
I think this is awesome. I mean, this is part of the reason why I love Android, and I love covering Android. To me, it really does seem like the operating system of the people, and I think that this is the kind of thing that really can make a huge difference in the world. I mean, it is hard to think sometimes, like places where people can't get clean water, they're going to have smartphones. But you know what? Their smartphones are going to help them find clean water, and they're going to help them organize and figure out how to get what they need, right, with their community. So I think this is a game changer. I think it's great, and I'm excited. I would actually love to. Is there any way that we can get our hands on any of these devices?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm sure there will be eventually, but I haven't heard of anything quite yet.
I'm very curious to know what they're like. Yeah.
You guys need a man on the ground in India to order one and ship it to you.
It's too bad we don't. It's too bad we don't have any fans in India that might want to email us at AAA@twit.tv and let us know. Just throwing that out there, whatever. Some random notes. There was an interview with Sundar Pichai on NDTV in India, and just a couple of random kind of tidbits that he talked about. Android version L is going to support 6 more Indian languages very soon when it launches. We imagine very soon anyways. Android 1 will eventually expand to cover mid-range devices. That's sub $350 US. So not just a low-end device. There's plans to kind of open it up more than that. So that's kind of interesting. And then kind of unrelated, possibly related, but Google Payments news. He says some big Google Payments news coming in the next few months. And especially in light of Apple's kind of ripples that they've made the last week with their mobile payments news with the new iPhones. Hopefully it's kind of on par with that. Maybe it ties into that somehow. I'm not sure, but so cool stuff. I'm very cool, very interested. And then finally, before we move on, I'm gonna slaughter this name. Srinivas Kilaru on Google Plus did post on a thread that I was chatting with about Android One, and just to give some local insight, he said Micromax is just a rebranded Chinese phone, as the same phone is sold in other countries with a different brand name. Spice and Carbon are the same way too, and he says the reliability of these phones has always been suspect due to not so great after-sales support. So I wonder how that's going to affect this hardware, since the hardware is kind of supplied by Google. Maybe it's a different story. I don't know, but yeah, I would love to get some of this hardware in-house and see what it's all about. Check it out. So, I don't know. Cool stuff. Anything else on that, or should we move on?
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Let's move on to news that was never really news because it was always rumor.
Right. I mean, this is sort of like the rumored opposite of Android One, right?
Right.
So Android Silver was to be, at one time anyway, according to rumors, a replacement to the Google Nexus program. Of course, later a Google rep refuted that. The Nexus wasn't going away. But according to the Android Silver rumors, the program was basically a way to like market legitimize Android as a premium brand in carrier stores and elsewhere, backed by Google officially, with devices that had an unskinned operating system and like free premium kind of setup help, like Genius Bar, Level, Concierge, let's get you set up. But according to the information, Nikesh Arora's departure from Google in July of this year meant this program is now on hold. I guess he was the one really championing Android Silver. And I guess reception for the program among partners wasn't that strong, likely because of the requirements. So Android Silver reportedly not going to happen. So we're stuck with Nexus and Android One for now.
Russell, when you heard the news, when you heard the rumors of this months ago, what was your impression of Android Silver? Did you think it was something that Android needs as a platform? Or did you think it was redundant? I don't know. How did you feel about it?
It never really made a whole lot of sense to me because it was always attached to the notion that the Nexus program was going away, and that strayed really far from the point of the Nexus program. So I kind of took it with a grain of salt, and knowing that it's going away now is also kind of weird, because if you remove the notion that these are high-end phones, it really sounds like we got Android Silver with Android One, just in a different capacity, and I think probably a more important capacity. But it's also worth keeping in mind that a lot of the other manufacturers, HTC and several others, are joining Android One to deliver a lot of the same experience that we were told was coming with this Android Silver rumor.
Really good point. I'm happy that you brought that up. Yeah, Samsung, notably, not part of that, but yeah, definitely a bunch of other manufacturers saying that. So kind of what you're saying is it's possible that Android One we might eventually see kind of higher end devices. I know Sundar Pichai teased kind of mid-range. And I don't know, it was kind of my thought that, like Android One, lower range devices, kind of more budget friendly. Nexus devices appeal to developers. Android Silver was like the premium line. Just kind of gets confusing when you start putting all those on the table. Then you've got the Google Plus edition, which I think we're kind of seeing phased out at this point, right? There was no Google Plus Galaxy S5, so it's probably.
It's the Play edition. Yeah, it does seem like
edition.
it's does seem like it's lessening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like you're hearing a lot about that yet.
We did see a Play edition HTC One M8.
Okay.
And yeah, we did.
It's probably not going to make a lot of sense to see a Play edition for the 360. I'm sorry, the X or the G.
Right.
And I don't know that there's another major Google partner launch happening anytime soon to really make that call. It is kind of weird that there wasn't an S5 Google Play Edition, but at the same time, Samsung's relationship with Google is kind of funny right now. So, maybe that's a deeper sign of that.
Yeah, for sure. And then what about the fact that, and maybe this is just my ignorance as far as how these initiatives are run inside a behemoth corporation like Google, but is it pretty standard that so you've got this program, Android Silver, if it even existed, right? This is all still rumors and hearsay and everything. We never had actual news on Android Silver, but if Google has an actual program like Android Silver and is championing it to be this kind of thing that might save Android because it'll make it compete with Apple better because it's seen as more of a premium brand, and then the guy that's kind of heading that effort leaves, why does it go away entirely? Is that normal? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like one guy leaves, it's like, oh, well, let's just bail on that idea then. That guy was the only one that could possibly make that happen.
That was a weird facet of the story, right? And it makes you wonder, like, was the program canceled and then the guy left?
Right.
He's like, look, this
That's
is what I was
true. That's a
working
good
on.
point.
I'm disheartened and I can't do it. Or is it truly that the person in charge left and like no one cared enough to continue it? But it does seem strange. I mean, this isn't a 20% project, right? Like, this is a thing. Like, this involves relationships and hardware, and this is like, it seems like more of a biz dev situation than like an engineer being like, I'm gonna hack together this thing in my free time, and I don't feel like doing it anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's just my hunch.
Fair enough.
That it was probably canceled and then he left because that those things were intertwined. Not that he was the only person working on it.
That's a good point. Good work.
I feel like if that person was like the CEO of Virtue or something, that I would understand him leaving, making the program go away. But it definitely seems like the other way around is more likely in this situation.
Yeah. Good point. So moving on, let's see here. Russell, you wrote about app runtime for Chrome on geek.com. And we heard about this, of course, at I/O. Today's show is sprinkled throughout it are all of these things that touch back on I/O in strange
Google
ways.
I/O Promise Day.
It's totally. It kind of is. So they promised that Android apps in some capacity were going to be coming to Chrome OS, and now we're kind of seeing that. What can you tell us about it?
Well, we've got 4 apps that showed up as kind of the out of the gate, and these were all the ones that we saw at Google I/O. So Evernote and the whole idea is that they act as not necessarily emulated versions of the apps, but Chrome friendly versions of these apps that sync data back and forth between your phone and your Chrome OS device. And at first glance, they all kind of look neat, but after messing with it for a couple of days, like the Evernote option, the Evernote version is a little on the clumsy side. There are still a couple of buttons that directly reference the fact that the app thinks it's on a phone, and so things don't always play very well. So as kind of an out of the box initial impression, this isn't exactly what I was hoping for. But one of the big things that came with that announcement was kind of a voting sheet on Google's site where you can go and request for whatever app you want to be added to the Chrome OS Android runtime test setup. And hopefully we will see a lot more apps that are a little more polished soon.
Do we think this is ever going to hit a point where any developer can make their app Chrome OS friendly, or is it still too early to tell?
I dream of a fantasy world where app developers can press a single button and it hits both stores simultaneously.
Yeah.
I think that would be ideal, because I don't know that it's necessarily one app that would work in both environments, because there's obviously varying screen sizes to deal with there. But I think that if it was possible for a developer to publish once and have it work in these different environments, it would be really fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. I should have put it on this Chrome, my Chromebook Pixel. I didn't think about it. Too busy, I tell you. Well, cool. I can't wait to see kind of what it's all about and see what it turns into. What were you going to say, Gina?
I was just going to clarify. It's Chrome OS only, right? So it's not, I can't run this in Chrome on my Mac. It's Chrome OS only to do this.
It's definitely Chrome OS only, and it's not clear that it'll ever be a part of regular Chrome. But at the same time, we've also seen a lot of the weird kind of Chrome UI features bleed over into things like the Windows 8.1 version of Chrome. So anything's possible.
Yep. Interesting. Did you have to do any sort of extra update to your Chromebook to get this, or this is the runtime, the beta runtime just comes down to your Chromebook?
Yeah, I mean,
you have to be on alpha or beta.
The applications just look like Chrome apps in the Chrome Web Store, and you go to install them and you log into them, and it's all there.
Cool. I'm gonna have to commandeer my Chromebook back and give this a try.
Brand hijacking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Let's do an email. I think the mobile wallet question came up a couple of times in email, and this one was pretty good, Gina.
Yeah, we did. We got an email. Greetings, all. You briefly mentioned it on last week's show about how Apple Pay decided to adopt NFC for their payment standard. What do you think this means for Google Wallet? Obviously, that means many more stores will support NFC payments, and both Wallet and Apple Pay can be widely adopted. Do you think Google will finally put a marketing push behind Wallet and get more adopters? Many people forget that with KitKat, Android no longer uses the secure element for NFC payments, meaning that just about any Android phone with KitKat can use NFC payments, even though most Android users are unaware. I didn't realize that. This is important to me because, like many others, I am fully ready to embrace the NFC payment era and have already a number of stores I visit in my own town that support NFC. I've even left my wallet at home a few times on accident. Conveniently, just had lunch at places I know had NFC. Thanks for the great show, Kyle from Jacksonville. Hi, Kyle. This is a really good email and some really great points here. You know, when Apple. I watched the Apple announcement, and when they said, you know, we are going to support NFC because that is the standard for payment, for digital payments, you know, my first thought as a Google fangirl and Google commentator was, yeah, because of Google Wallet, right? Like, there's lots of big stores that have Google Wallet payments already enabled, and I think Apple is kind of riding the coattails on that. And really, this is good for everybody, right? Like, this just means that NFC is going to be more widely deployed because this many more users will be interested in doing this and trying this. And I think it's really a great thing.
J Carrot 4884, I never know how to say his name, his or her nickname in chat, asks an interesting question, or I guess it's not a question, but I'll phrase it as a question. Is it possible that the NFC that will end up in stores, thanks to what we're seeing now, which is that Apple Pay is basically making more outlets interested in NFC, which we kind of could have assumed, right? Apple has this strange ability to do that. They say, "Hey, we're behind this thing," and now suddenly everybody's like, "Oh, I got to get on board." So now more places are supporting Apple Pay NFC style. Is it possible that some of these places are going to have partnerships with Apple and therefore are going to lock out other forms of NFC payments like Google Wallet? What do you guys think?
Yep, it is definitely possible. And I think I'm actually the one that said it on Android Central.
Oh, there we go.
For that to be heard. It's a really dangerous position for everyone who's not Apple to be in right now, because there's a lot of different partnerships that got announced. And each one of them is going to have that Apple Pay logo branded on them. And so it may be a temporary exclusivity. We have absolutely no idea. Apple locked down NFC on the iPhone 6 so that it only does Apple Pay. And it's entirely possible that Apple took that to these partners as a security feature and said, look, we're the only ones that do this. This is why it's a good idea to do business with us. And that may have lasting consequences. We really have no idea yet.
Yeah,
it feels like akin to being like, if you accept MasterCard, you can also accept Visa. It just seems insane. It sounds like something that Apple would do, unfortunately. But it's just hard for me to believe that in the long run, that just screws over everybody, the merchants, the customers, everybody who supports digital payments. And I really would have a hard time believing that in the long term that's going to be how it turns out. So some stores accept this kind of, iOS and others, we don't accept Android. That would basically be
I know that
the response, right? Like that's
true.
crazy.
We have vending machines right now in the US that only take SoftBank. They're in Texas. There are Coca-Cola vending machines. The Verizon's formerly known as ISIS, where it's a perfectly normal contactless payment system. Is NFC based. There's no technical reason that Google Wallet doesn't work, but it only supports SoftBank for that wireless payment system. So it's definitely not unheard of already.
Right, but vending machines versus like major nationwide chain retailers, like I don't know. I'll be interested to see how this plays out. I mean, I'm not saying that we should think that it's absolutely not possible. It certainly is possible, but it does seem like there will be lawsuits, right? If this turns out to be the case, at least.
That would just suck.
It would suck. It really would suck.
Oh yeah, we finally, all these places are carrying it, have NFC capabilities, but you can't use it because you're not using an iPhone. I'm sorry. Yeah, that would really blow. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I suppose it remains to be seen. Let's take a break and thank our first sponsor of today's episode, and that is Citrix Go to Assist. Managing your company's IT support needs, well, let's face it, it can be challenging, especially when you have remote or mobile employees. You have to handle urgent tech support requests and quickly maintain productivity, all that kind of stuff. Making sure your network security is never compromised. That's exactly why I highly recommend Citrix Go to Assist. They're the #1 global market leader in remote support. It's easy to use. It's a cloud-based remote support solution that allows you and your team to solve problems faster than ever. And here's how it works to give you an idea. With Go to Assist remote support, you can provide live and unattended remote support to any computer or mobile device. You can screen share with employees to diagnose and fix their support problems faster and more effectively, and use Go to Assist apps to deliver support anytime, anywhere, of course, from your iPhone, your iPad, your Android device. Go to Assist is easy to use and sets up in less than a minute. They make it super easy for you to just get right in there and get to solving those issues that the person on the other side might be having. And that saves you time, it saves you money. Whether you're supporting 1 coworker, 10 employees, or even 1,000. That's because time is money. So there you go. And if you work in IT, in the IT field, I want you to try Go to Assist. Check it out for yourself. See how it works in your situation. So here's what you can do. You can sign up today for a 30-day free trial, no contract, no credit card needed. Visit gotoassist.com and click on the Try It Free button. And now, after your free trial, if you purchase Go to Assist before October 31st, you can use the promo code GoToAssist3030. That's GoToAssist3030 to receive 30% off the standard monthly rate. So check it out for yourself, and we thank Citrix for their support of All About Android and the Twit Network. All right, folks, we talked a little bit about hardware in the news section, but let's talk about more hardware. Oh, or apps.
Oops.
That's okay. I was a little...
Bryan's still on his honeymoon.
Oh, man. Are we doing a show right now?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're not at Space Mountain anymore.
Let me try
Bryan.
that again.
There we go.
How does this show work?
I don't know. You push buttons. You were playing with your Moto 360. I know it.
What? No.
Yeah, no, I know. So apparently we missed some interesting hardware during the Apple keynote. When all that Apple news was taking place, everyone was looking at that. They weren't watching Dell. You're like, okay, so Dell. Well, Dell announced the Dell Venue 8 7840. Not the best name in the world, but it's the thinnest tablet ever made, 6 millimeters thick. That beats Sony's Xperia Z2, which was 6.4 millimeters thick. So the race to the thinnest is definitely underway here. 8.4-inch OLED screen with a 2560 by 1600 resolution.
This thing is wild looking. It looks like a giant HTC One. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It does. It kind of does. Yeah, you're right. It's very unique design, almost bezel-less, not entirely bezel-less, and that's a really great animation to show you just what the pixels per inch are. As you get closer, it's really hard to decipher where those pixels are. It looks really nice. So I said tiny bezel. It has 4 cameras on the back, also known as Intel. Yeah, here we go, aka Intel RealSense, and this is basically Litro style controls after a picture is taken. Things like refocusing the image. You can adjust the aperture settings. So basically, between the 4 cameras, it can determine what's far, what's near, and everything in between, and allow you to do after the fact editing. It's running a quad-core 2.33 gigahertz Intel Atom Z3580 processor with 32 gigs of storage, micro SD card slot, and price. So this is interesting. I guess in the demo, they showed this picture of a bicycle, and then they put an animation on top of it that drops snowflakes. And because of the depth sensing in the photo, the snowflakes knew where to gather. So they gather on top of the rim of the bicycle. Just kind of an interesting way to illustrate that, I suppose.
This is Dell software that does these images.
Yeah,
it looks like that. Looks like that's what Gizmodo's saying. The Dell testing was a purpose, and that Dell software to manipulate those images was quite buggy. I'm frightened of that phrase, Dell software. That really scares me. Sorry, Dell.
There we go. Okay.
But okay. So go ahead.
No, I mean, there's really not much more. Available for the holidays, price unknown at this point. But yeah, interesting. Maybe not earth-shattering necessarily for everyone, but certainly comes out of the gate with some promising aspects. The display sounds pretty awesome. The thinness and the 4 cameras. Although I hear 4 cameras, and I immediately my knee-jerk reaction is like Amazon Fire Phone. Oh,
Fire OS. Yeah.
Fire phone. Do I need it? Do I need it? And you probably don't need it, but it's different. I don't know. What do you think,
I feel
Russell?
like this makes up for the Streak 5.
Okay. What did you not? Yes.
I owned a Streak 5 right after it came out. It was this bulky, terrible 5-inch tablet that also made phone calls, and it was not great. I was really hoping that it was going to be better, and I feel like this kind of makes up for that. I'm really excited by the form factor. I think having the speaker and everything up on the one side and really encouraging you to kind of hold it with that with the one hand. I'm a little nervous about dropping it.
Yeah,
because it seems like there's just nothing else to this thing. But it definitely looks cool. Front-facing speakers on tablets are a thing that everyone should do.
Agreed.
Yeah, front-facing speakers in general on every device. I really am sold. And with the one, which I love, I do miss it from the. This thing looks really lopsided though. And Gizmodo has photos of it being held landscape, but portrait, and the way that it's designed, because there's that one speaker and the bezel at the bottom, it looks as if it's like a phone that's docked into a holder of some sort, but it's I mean, not a phone, but a device that's docked, onto that one piece, because there's no bezel at the top. But maybe that's just me not used to.
Yeah, I mean, this device in landscape definitely looks a little unbalanced from a design perspective, which is strange for a tablet, I suppose, because you end up in landscape more often than not with a tablet form.
Right.
Right. Yeah, interesting. And it's kind of rounded on one side. It looked like it was squared off on the other, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know, let's try it all. See which side people like more, and then the next time we'll do that on both sides. So interesting nonetheless. Good job for doing something interesting, Dell. We'll see how this goes for you. See if
not such a good job scheduling it during the Apple announcement, but next time.
Well, it was at a conference. It was at an Intel. Man, it was in the article. It was during a conference, so it was probably just
Intel's big event,
developer conference. Yep, in San Francisco. So it was probably just poor timing.
Yeah.
And Michael Dell actually took the stage to kind of unleash it. So there you go.
Wow. No, okay.
All right, what you got, Gina?
I got some news about the ADT1, which I know you were all on the edges of your seat about, waiting for. The ADT1 started appearing on people's doorsteps last week unannounced. For those that signed up for more information shortly after Google I/O concluded, I'll admit I had to look up what the ADT1 was.
Yeah, apologize. I didn't put that in there.
No, that's okay. The information reports that the ADT1 developer kit. It's a developer kit, so it's hardware. And this is hardware that was once expected to become the Nexus TV, right? So this is going to be Google's reference device for Android TV, which is the software that's going to run on devices in the living room. So this ADT1, the Nexus TV, would operate the same way that Google's Nexus devices, phones and tablets, champion Android on for smartphones and tablets. So when the Nexus TV product failed, it became the ADT1 development kit that everyone is now receiving. So Jason, is this the dev kit that you snagged when we were at Google I/O? Okay, cool.
Yes, this is it. So, and it started going out to more people. And I believe, well, Russell, you wrote about this back in August, right?
Yeah, I have one as well. It sits on my TV and makes pretty lights at me.
Is that about it?
I don't use it a whole lot. It's as far as developer hardware goes, there's not a ton of play with it yet. A lot of things that are kind of core Android things don't work with it yet.
Yep.
And so it's kind of weird that it hasn't gotten a system update. Even though it's been there for developers to kind of test things on, like the games. Google Play Games doesn't work on it. There's a couple of things. That
YouTube is really buggy on it.
YouTube is kind of buggy on it, but it's a really nice setup for Chromecast. If you're down for Chromecast replacement, I
would agree with that to an extent. I expected when I got home with that, and knowing that Chromecast was built into it, I was like, okay, well then I don't need my Chromecast, taking up an HDMI port on my TV at home anymore. So I started using that, and I found that you can't just leave it on in the same way that you can leave on a Chromecast. After a while, it kind of gets lost, and I have to like restart it, and Chromecast isn't actually there to be casted to, and so it wasn't. So now I have both of them plugged in, and I never turn on the Android TV.
Yep, same here. And this is so. It's also interesting. I don't know where Google's going with this, but it's really clearly labeled Google Cast in the hardware. And it doesn't behave exactly the same way. Like if I cast something that is, like a Netflix video to it, it doesn't just jump up and start playing like Chromecast does. It actually launches the Netflix app so that it can grab the higher quality stream. But if I remove the Netflix application, then the Chromecast, the ADT1 just kind of panics and doesn't really know what to do without that application installed. So it's not totally clear that this is going to work exactly the same way as a Chromecast does, but in exchange, you get higher quality streams.
Oh, that's a really good point. Although I've noticed pretty darn good quality streams with the Chromecast. Maybe I've just gotten used to it. What was I going to say? Oh, and the thing gets ridiculously hot. Hardly doing anything, like burn you if you're not careful hot. And, that could be a big reason why maybe this didn't go very far. But Gina, did you sign up for the Android TV at I/O, or did you miss out on that?
I didn't. I should have spent more time with you, Jason, because you snagged it. Well, I was not in the right place at the right time.
No, well, I was. And then, I wasn't.
Right, you had to sign up. Was it like a web form that you signed up? I totally missed it.
I mean, I got it through one of the folks, Abhishek of the CyanogenMod team. He had an extra one, and he was like, "Hey, here, take this. Just review it on the show." So he gave me one that he had. Thank you. So I wasn't there at the event, but apparently afterwards there was a URL that you could go to sign up for more information. And then suddenly last week, out of nowhere, I start getting tweets from people saying, "Hey, what do you know? I didn't even get a notice that this was shipped. I literally opened my front door and there's a package from FedEx waiting for me that has the ADT1 inside." So that's pretty sweet.
It's
nice little surprise.
Yeah, that really is, and I regret actually not signing up. But what I'm confused about, so the information is saying that the Nexus TV failed, so it became the ADT1. When did that happen?
Yeah, I know, right?
When was there a Nexus TV? Like, what? We haven't seen that at all. It feels like it should be the opposite, right? That the ADT1 is the dev kit, and that the Nexus TV is still on the way. So I was sort of confused about like what failure. Like, did they just decide internally not to do it, and then they said, okay, here it is, everybody. I mean, Android TV is still purportedly, allegedly alive and well and going to happen.
Yes,
which I really want to see happen. I'm sort of bummed that the Nexus TV isn't going to happen if this report is correct, because we can see through the tablets and the phones that, the Nexus devices, the reference devices, the pure Google, this thing operates the way that we intend. The hardware that's developed in tangent with the software is usually the best experience. And we've all been through Google TV, right? I know Ron's not here to defend Google TV. I know he's a big Google TV fan, but I mean, come on, every model of the Google TV was had weirdness and whatever. So I don't know. I want to see Android TV. I want to get it on a Nexus.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
We already know that Android TV, like Android Wear and Android Auto, are going to receive updates from Google by default. Like, user interface isn't going to be changeable. It's not going to be customizable like Google TV was. So we're still going to get a lot of that same experience, and that's probably why we didn't see a Nexus TV, because it's taking the same route as Android Wear and Android Auto in how updates are going to be provided. What we're going to see is, hardware manufacturers are going to release their own versions of hardware with, whatever quality hardware they decide to put in it, and maybe one or two software bits that they have added, like we saw with the Moto 360 and the heartbeat sensor. But more than that, I kind of think that maybe the Nexus TV was part of the Android Silver program.
It's
to kind of drive that sad joke home, because it didn't make any sense.
I was like, we're connecting all the dots here, or are we right now? I don't even know anymore.
I'm going to bust out the maps and the red string. We're going with this.
Now we just need to find a story in the app section that connects into Android Silver, and it's like, it's a trifecta. I don't know. I would have loved to see a Nexus TV. I suppose this doesn't mean that a Nexus TV will never happen. But from what this like rumory / leak, whatever it is, says, there was a Nexus TV. They scrapped it, and like in my mind, I'm like, okay, so then they're thinking, well, we've got all these hardware devices. Well, let's just make them Android, hardware dev units and give them to people at I/O. I don't know if that's the case, but kind of feels that way in light of this. I don't know if that was the right way to go, but there we go. Still, nonetheless, interesting product. But I agree. I really hope that at some point we start to see some movement in this, and I imagine that's probably going to happen when L happens. It just seems like if it's meant to be a developer unit, they haven't really supported it for developers well enough out of the gate. At least L developer preview was built up enough that developers can feel like, oh, I can work with this. And it seems like in some cases the ADT1 and Android TV that's running on it has been lacking some, like like you said, the play games aspect. That seems kind of critical, at least especially to Google, but also to developers, and that's just never been tackled. So it's just been left in the shuffle.
Right. The ADT one shipped with a controller, right?
Yeah,
but no keyboard.
An awesome controller, I might add.
Like
it's actually a pretty darn good controller, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So. Right, and so the way that you typed things though is you connected to it from your phone. There was no keyboard, unlike Google TV, which shipped with keyboards attached to the back of the remote or the full keyboard.
Right. You can use your smartphone keyboard, or you could punch it out on that controller, which makes you want to punch out the controller.
Yeah,
oh, that's that too. Yeah.
All right, voice. Okay. So,
yep. Yeah.
Or your watch.
Speak into your watch and have it.
It does. It works that way.
Yeah. Or your Android Silver device.
Or your.
I don't know. I'm straight. Thank you. There we go. All right. Hey, let's talk about something that actually does exist, that we know is true, and that is the Moto 360. I have it on a dock right now because it's been changing wrists all day. I had it, on my wrist for a while, and then Leo reviewed it on Before You Buy, and so he synced it to his notifications. Then I put it back on, and it was running low, so I put it back on. There was like 30%, so I probably could have made it through the rest of the day. But so every single one of us on today's show has one or has used one, and what do we think? You know what? Bryan, let's start with you. What do you think about your Moto 360, Bryan?
I like it a lot because I don't know. I'm used to wearing a watch, and this doesn't feel any bigger. I mean, it's slightly bigger than the watch I usually have on, and with the notifications and everything, it works really well with that. I also have a little B-roll. I didn't know you were going to throw to me so quickly.
Ooh, B-roll.
Wow. Wait a minute. Did you record this?
I did this a little earlier. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like you said, the battery life, I haven't had any issue, but I did turn off the ambient stuff. So when I flick my wrist, it comes on.
Yeah.
Took me a couple hours to kind of get used to the interface, like the double tapping or tapping to get the Google Voice to come up and searching through the settings and stuff like that. Or palming the device to get the screen to go off. But once I figured all that out, it's really slick. It's nice just to look down at my wrist and see if I have any notifications. And one of the first things I did, I wanted to keep it pretty stock while I first played with it. But that Secret Agent N64 GoldenEye watch face was like, I was like, I can't resist. I got to put that on there. And as soon as I used that watch face, I was like, okay, yeah, this was totally worth it. I'm really happy with this.
Right on. You prepared B-roll and everything. That's awesome.
Well, I was excited to talk about it. It's the first gadget that I've had in a while, and like up to date with everybody on the show and stuff.
Right on, dude.
Nice.
That's great. Good walkthrough on that. Gina, how are you feeling about it?
Love this thing. Love it. Love it.
Really?
After the G Watch, after the G Watch, which I got a Google I/O, I was like, okay, this is a start of something good, right? This is a start. The 360 is awesome. The charger is so much better.
Oh, so much better.
It just looks so much nicer. I mean, this is a watch that I would wear, and I was sharing with you pre-show, like I'm a vain creature, and I don't mind having this watch on at all. I was really worried that the flat tire thing was gonna bother me a lot. There's a black part of the screen at the bottom. I thought it was going to bug me. I don't even notice it. The heart rate monitor has been great. I was sharing with you pre-show. The heart rate monitoring is sometimes a little bit buggy. I had a public speaking engagement this weekend. I was really nervous about it, and I got the message like, "Woo, like you've reached your heart rate activity for the day at like 11 a.m." And I don't know if that means I was really nervous, or the phone, or the watch heart rate detection is defective, or what. But traveling, I mean, it's Google Now on your wrist, right? So I traveled this weekend. Google Now is so good with what time you should leave, and with navigation, and with things nearby, and the time at home. I absolutely loved it. And when especially when I'm traveling for business, I'm really busy, and I often won't pull out my phone, and I'll miss text messages from home about, hey, the baby's going to bed, you want to talk to her, and I didn't miss any of those wearing the watch. The battery life is okay. If you don't charge it every night, you're basically SOL, right? You got to charge it every single night, but it does give me the full day. I really love it. I have to say, I've been really, really, really enjoying it. It's way better than the G Watch. And I just wish it was a little faster. I think that Ars article was right on. I think the processor is crappy. And I spend some time looking at the little progress spinner. I'd like to spend less time doing that. But otherwise, it's a great thing. And I'm putting it on every day, which is some indicator that I actually want to use it.
Yep.
I haven't forgotten about it yet.
Russell, did Motorola get it right here? Ways that they can improve. What do you think?
I definitely don't feel bad saying that this is the best of the Android Wear watches that are out there today. And given some of the things that we've seen that are coming, I think that this will continue to be the best of the Android Wear watches for a little while. But it's, it is definitely not quite what I was expecting. I think that if they had done a little bit more, and not like a lot, just a little tiny bit more with the processor and a little bit more with the battery, and maybe even up the price a little bit as a result, that this would have been really just an outstanding device. I think it's okay as it is right now, but I dream of one that is even just a little better.
Yeah, and it makes you think that on the second rev they're going to get a lot more right. Yeah, I'd agree with everything you guys are saying. The black bar at the bottom doesn't bother me a single bit, and I wasn't too worried that it was going to. Honestly, very early on, I never even noticed it. And then, people started pointing it out, and then you kind of notice it, but it's really not that big a deal. And I don't even see it, And daily.
I love the stock watch face that Motorola included that puts the numbers up top.
That one?
No, you swipe a little. It's a pair of dials.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, rotate. And what's really cool, so the numbers are always up top, even if you have a notification. The time is always up top there. And what Motorola did with the Motorola Connect app is that the watch faces that they included, you can actually customize a little bit so that those colors, you can actually set those colors to whatever you want. Mine are red right now.
What is it called?
For that app.
Suddenly I'm forgetting what it was called. It was
Connect.
Motorola Connect.
There we go. Yeah, so this is kind of nice in that it allows you to kind of do these customizations on your phone where maybe it's easier for you to kind of get in there. So you can go in there, set it to white. Wow, it's really bright.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Let's see here. There we go. That might be better.
Wow, Russell, you really are my Android whisperer. I hadn't installed Motorola Connect because I was like, I don't know if I need this. I don't need Motorola to have all
this
my
is really
phone's
handy.
information.
That's what I absolutely love about Motorola Connect is that this is what Motorola did as a result of being told that they couldn't install custom software because Google was handling the updates. So they've got this whole separate app that does all of these really cool things, and I'm totally a fan of this setup moving forward for all forms of OEM manipulation and stuff like that. I love how they handled this.
Okay.
So your touch.
It's a lot of permissions here. A lot of permissions. But okay. Okay. If Russell says so.
Fair enough. Yeah, so far I'm digging it. The display off until you lift, your wrist. That is different from the Gear Live that I had before it. Of course, its ambient mode has like a faint clock there when you're not looking at it, and then when you hold it up, it turns on. And this one, it turns off or turns on. Although there is a mode to where it dims down, right? And that's the one that everybody's saying just kills your battery.
Yeah, you can turn on that mode, and it's because this is not an AMOLED screen. This is, this is not a display where only certain pixels fire, and so that's the trade-off that you make there.
Yep.
But as a result, even though this screen has a lower pixel count and the font is larger than the other Android Wear devices, I found just glancing down and reading so comfortable on this device compared to the G Watch and the Samsung Gear Live. I was thoroughly happy with how everything displayed on this watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I think we're all in agreement. Like I was worried about the battery aspect, and mind you, I've only really played with it for a couple of days, but I haven't had issues with the battery. And I think the big difference there is, it's a hard one because with the wearables, like you want to use them all the time, especially when you first get them. So your inclination is, I just have it, so I'm going to use it all the time. And you're going to burn through your battery if you do that. With this device in particular, also with the other watches, but not to the same extreme here. Once you kind of settle in and use it normally and let it just kind of become a normal part of what you wear, and like I find I really only look at it maybe, sometimes to tell the time, but really if I get a little buzz on my wrist, I look at it. Okay, good to know I don't need to answer that email, and I put my wrist down, and that's really it. I don't use the voice commands a whole lot. I'm sure if you're using those a lot, you're going to burn through the battery and everything. So I think it really depends on your usage on this, whether you're going to be disappointed with the battery or not. So far, I'm not. So I'm happy about that. But
I can't wait to see the first person who comes up with some kind of cobbled together wrist-mounted charger for this thing. It's gonna happen.
Yes.
I know that it's gonna happen at some point, and I just can't wait to see someone, I've hooked a battery up to this NFC coil that I made myself, and so now it charges while it's on my wrist.
I envision those workout arm straps that normally you put like an iPod in or whatever, but it's a battery pack that wires down your arm.
Fantastic and terrible, and I can't wait.
Oh,
someone is gonna do it.
Somebody's gonna do it. You're so right. That's awesome. All right, so far Moto 360 recommended. It's definitely, I would say, the best Android Wear device right now that I've actually had my hands on my wrist in and played with, but there are more coming, and man, we're seeing suddenly just this influx of them. So we're firmly in first gen territory, and I'm excited to see what comes in the second gen, which is probably shortly after next year. So there we go. Okay, so this is a little bit of a long email, but I thought it was interesting and worth talking about. So let's dive right into it. This is so long that Eric Hoover wrote in and said, I just listened to your discussion of Motorola's newly announced earpiece, the Moto Hint. Like most of the tech press, you saw it as an expensive Bluetooth headset with some Google Now integration and weren't too excited. I wouldn't say I wasn't too excited, but it is kind of expensive in my opinion. And Eric says, as a PhD student studying hearing loss, I'm as excited about the Moto Hint as Ron was about Google Glass. Well, almost. The Hint isn't just a Bluetooth headset. It's also a personal sound amplification product, or PSAP. This is a new FDA category of hearing assistance devices that are threatening the core of the hearing care industry. The Hint has a microphone and amplifier that helps you hear your surroundings in addition to Bluetooth. I don't know what about the Hint. I don't know about the Hint, but many PSAPs have adaptive directional microphones that cut out background noise and focus on the person you are talking to, a feature that's useful for everyone in a noisy store or a classroom, for example. Until this year, PSAP devices like the Etymotic Bean have been direct-to-consumer alternatives to a hearing aid for people who can't or won't buy a pair of hearing aids for upwards of $3,000. In 2014, PSAPs with Bluetooth PSAPs with Bluetooth, like the Moto Hint, began to pop up on crowdfunding sites. These are small companies no one has ever heard of, but one has over $10 million in venture funding, including $5 million from Foxconn. Now that a tech giant like Motorola is in the PSAP game, the hearing aid industry is teetering on the edge of a major disruption. What hip 50-year-old with a smartphone and a little trouble hearing her younger coworkers in a crowded conference hall is going to opt for a hearing aid when she can buy a Moto Hint for $150? It's a perspective I never considered, and it's certainly an angle of the Moto Hint that I hadn't heard anything about. So I love it. I love our audience. You bring a different perspective, and you inform us.
What I heard from that is that the Moto Hint will give me superpowers.
It kind of seems that way.
And now I need one.
So $150 for superpowers. How are you going to pass that up? Seriously.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. But anyways, thank you, Eric, for writing in. Very interesting stuff. And yeah, I think it's, I can't help but get be reminded of the earplugs, the people that have stretched out their earlobes. Kind of looks like that, but in your ear. But that's better than the big, honking Bluetooth piece. And it's certainly more attractive than a normal hearing aid. So, a visible hearing aid. So definitely unique stuff going on. Is that yep, there it is. Almost kind of looks like a ring too, but cool stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's thank another sponsor of today's episode. Why don't we do that? Let's take a minute to thank Full Sail for their support of All About Android. You've seen how the popularity of mobile games can spread like wildfire. We talk about it on the show all the time. The mobile gaming industry has become extremely profitable, and there's a demand out there for skilled developers who understand the needs of both gaming and mobile app creation. Full Sail University offers an online master's degree program in mobile gaming, which can teach you the coding and basic business knowledge needed to become a professional in this growing career field. This accelerated master's program, you're going to become immersed in the mobile gaming industry through a series of courses. They directly relate to those in a game studio, including advanced programming, concept development, QA testing, and deployment, the whole 9 yards. You'll create a mobile game from start to finish, and then you'll present and market your product. Full Sail University's online and campus degree programs are centered on real-world education and experience with industry technology and workflow. Through their innovative curriculum, you can actually earn your master's degree in 12 months. In addition to mobile gaming, Full Sail University offers a variety of master's degrees in business and tech fields, marketing, internet marketing, business intelligence, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I know I've always kind of wanted to take a look at their courses on audio production. They take you into studios. Their audio programs are really well respected. To learn more about Full Sail's master's degree program in mobile gaming or any of their related programs, check out fullsail.edu/AAA. And we thank Full Sail University for their continued support of All About Android and the Twit Network. Thank you, guys. All right. Now, Bryan, you can cue up the apps drop.
Woohoo!
I know you've been waiting all day to do this.
Finally.
All right. So, Gina, This was
big
big.
news.
This was big.
This is big news.
For me.
This is really big news. Yeah, me too.
For those of us in the States, and I would imagine
yes,
more
for
than
those
anybody.
of us in the States, sorry to be US centric, but for those of us in the States, this was big news. Google Voice finally merges into Hangouts. Google Voice users can now activate voice features in Hangouts to bring voicemails and their hilarious transcripts, of course, as well as voice SMS into the Hangouts experience natively. So you're going to get a little message when you launch your Google Voice app on Android that says, hey, do you want to integrate with Google Hangouts? And you have the option to do so or not do so. This does seem like the inevitable march toward, the future, capital case. So I'd recommend doing it. I did it. I'll tell you the truth. I was a little annoyed initially because I just had to send a text message and I wasn't ready to reconfigure my phone's SMS. But I did it, and I did it a lot for this, right? Like I want to be able to voice reply to text messages, and I couldn't do that in the native Google Voice app. But now that I'm using Hangouts, I can do that because Hangouts has that built in. And so you can see all your SMS in Hangouts and your voicemails. You can text from your Google Voice number via Hangouts. It's very cool. Google also rolled out a new app, the Hangouts Dialer. This is what this does what iOS has had for a while, and then it turns your Google Voice account into a true voice over IP solution.
Which is
Android
awesome.
Central, which is awesome, which is really, really awesome. Yeah, so you can do voice over IP calls from the Hangouts Dialer. Android Central, thank you very much, warns not to remove the long-abandoned Google Voice app quite yet, as doing so means that any calls you make via your stock dialer on Android will no longer look like they're coming from Google Voice. So leave the Google Voice app alone, but hopefully that will be built into Hangouts sometime soon, and then we can forget that the whole Google Voice app thing ever existed in the first place. That makes me a little sad. I miss the Google Voice Blue. Google Voice is such a great product, and it's been sort of, shunted to the side for a while. I'm just so I'm so happy to finally see this is the promise of the unified sort of communications app that we've been talking about for a long time. And I know there's some mixed feelings about Hangouts from some folks. I for one welcome my Hangouts overlord. That's cool. Hangouts is obviously much more actively updated. It works with Wear. Everybody's using it, so I'm actually glad to not be in this other thing that no one else uses. So tell me, Jason, you're a voice user. You're voice is your primary number, like me. You're excited about this? It sounds like.
Oh yeah, no, I was super excited about this, particularly because I'm on the $30 T-Mobile plan, which has 100 voice minutes, right? And I never thought 100 minutes. I hardly ever talk on the phone. Who talks on the phone anymore? That's going to be plenty. About half the months that I've been on it, and I've probably been on it for 6, 7, 8 months, somewhere around there. So about half of those, I hit the end, and then I'm like, do I re-up for pay the cost to re-up or whatever? Talkatone before Google kind of cut support for it was what I would use to do VoIP, kind of my VoIP workaround tapping into Google Voice, but Google cut off support for that. So literally this launched, and later that day I ran out of minutes. And I was like, oh, I could use it right now. And sure enough, it worked beautifully. The next day, I was on a call for 40 minutes, and I used it, and it was great. I was just like, man, it's so good to be back. It's good to have voice, VoIP, true VoIP back on my phone, and to know that it's kind of the official, Google sanctioned version of it. And it worked really well. Worked very well. So I'm very happy about it. What'd you think? Have you had a chance to use it very much, Russell?
I have been a Google Voice user since 2009. I made the switch and just never looked back. I was so happy that it was a text message service that didn't have MMS. That was actually a feature that I wanted at the time, was to not have MMS, because I had family members who had figured out how to use MMS like spam mail, and so they would send me crappy pictures of things, and I just couldn't stand it. And so I got I made the switch to Google Voice, and I have used it ever since. It has been such a great feature, and having it built into Hangouts, I personally love. I can't wait until it's fully integrated. I know that there are some people that don't. My wife hates it. But I think that she just hates change. So it's just one of those things that some people like and some people don't. But I am personally a huge fan, and can't wait for this to completely finish.
Yeah. And then I found myself not without my phone. My daughter was using my phone in the other room, and I needed to send a text message to somebody. And I had my laptop open in the kitchen, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. I can do this from Hangouts on my laptop. So I opened up the Hangouts app, and sure enough, SMS from there, boop, done. So it's great having that flexibility. Even though I could do that through I think a Chrome plugin, but it's just nice to have it all integrated into the same window, and I don't know, it works well. So I like it. So there we go. Finally, we've waited and we've been rewarded. Now everybody else, the rest of the world is like, all right, move on. Google Voice, whatever. Didn't come to us, big whoop. Well, this is going to come to you. You naysayer. Google Play Services is updated to 6.1. Perhaps not the most exciting update for everyone, but for developers, there's some good stuff in here. Developers working on making their apps Google Fit capable can now do so on any Android device with Play Services 6.1, and not just limited to Android version L preview. So you can expand kind of compatibility testing and roll out there. Drive Android API has an improved file picker, brings with it some material design splashes. We also just, real quick here, we're seeing more and more material design things happen. There was a leak about the Play Store's material design update that's been hitting throughout the day. So you just kind of get the feeling that version L is somewhere around the corner here pretty soon. So that's part of this update. Better conflict resolution for local and server-side files with Drive, and then enhanced e-commerce analytics for tracking of product impressions, which that probably makes more sense to somebody else other than me. But there you go. So Play Services, continuing to make your device better. There we go. Not much to say there,
Every time a little bit better. It's good. We got one last story in apps here. Russell, you wrote an article about why Twitch and Disney and iHeartRadio getting Chromecast support might be pretty important. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so we got more things for the Chromecast today, and they're important things for a whole bunch of different reasons. The first was the Disney suite of applications, which is Watch Disney, Watch Disney Junior, and Watch Disney XD. These are all 3 different apps for the 3 different networks that Disney puts television shows on, and they can all now be streamed to the Chromecast, which kind of, in my opinion, took Chromecast just that kind of one step further out of the kind of tech geek crowd and more towards, this is a general use thing that anyone can use because it's so simple to use. And then the other thing that we got was Twitch support, which is awesome because one of the very first things that came out of my mouth when Amazon bought Twitch was that we were never, ever, ever going to see Chromecast support. And so I ate those words, and they were delicious because watching Twitch on a Chromecast is going to be good times. I think people are going to really enjoy that.
Can we expect Amazon to follow suit with? I can't even finish that sentence.
I mean, given Amazon's current release cycle with Android, I mean, like in 4 years, totally it'll happen.
Oh yeah, 4 years. There we go.
I mean, now that they bought Twitch, I guess we could probably shave a couple months off of that. But let's say 3.5. Let's go ahead and go with 3.5 years.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance.
I suppose we'll see.
And it'll support the Chromecast 1, even though the Chromecast 3 will be out.
Okay.
So
I'll take it. Anything.
But it'll totally happen.
All right. Good. Good to have your assurance, and you might have to eat those words someday too. Yeah. All right. Let's do it. Let's get into the arena. Battle a little bit. Put our dukes up.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Last week's episode 178, we had the calendar widget. We had recollect, Ask Me Anything, Reddit AMA, and Blinkist. The winner was Ask Me Anything Reddit AMA. I think I kind of saw that coming because that was a pretty darn popular app.
Yeah.
Close
Was that
second.
Team Guest? It was Team Guest, wasn't it?
Yes, that was Team Guest. So mark that for the guest. Recollect, which was that Ron again?
That Ron.
Oh well,
I'm really glad that he's on vacation or he's gonna work today.
He didn't win first, Gina, so it's cool.
That's true. Okay.
He was ousted by the guest, so I think we're still okay.
Recollect is a good app. It was a good app. These were all good apps.
Yes.
So.
Month came in third at 23%, and then Blinkist fourth at 15%. I'm sorry, Gina.
Loser.
I think you might have a chance, though, based on the title alone. I can't wait to pull this up.
I think I might have a chance.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance. I think I got a chance tonight, you guys. Does this mean I go first because I was a loser?
Yep, that's right.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Audio. This has audio, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay,
it does.
find
No big
audio.
deal if not. The visuals will hold up for us. So my pick this week is called, it's a game, and it is called Kitten Taxi. Okay? You did not hear me wrong. Kitten Taxi. It is free with in-app purchase, and it is exactly what it sounds like. All right? It's a racing shooter game with really cool visuals. This thing looks like it's completely hand-drawn, as you can see up on the screen there. Thanks, Bryan, for flipping through the screenshots. So the idea is that you're a couple of kittens in a car. You've just robbed a bank, and this is the epic escaping story of bank robber cats. It's cars, cats, and guns, you guys. This is a really fun game. So... And it's really easy. I'm not a huge gamer. I picked this up right away. It was a lot of fun. It's got an easy, cool tutorial to start. So yeah, there you can see this thing is all like hand-drawn graphics, which is really, really neat. I'd never played anything like this. It's like that AHA video, right? But it's kittens in a car driving. So there you are. You're the kittens in the car. You're speeding down the street trying to get away from the cops. You drive side to side just like that. And, you get to pick up gold coins, and you get to shoot at police cars, and you get to, like, eat snacks. It's pretty awesome. So if you drive right in... Okay, so dodge the grenade there. Don't let it... Oh, okay, there you go. Nice.
I see.
Nice. So you swipe side to side to drive. Yeah, get out of the way of that thing. Perfect. So then when you kind of lined up, you can shoot at the car behind you. Nice.
How do I shoot? Do I go like that? Or
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Nice. And so this is the tutorial that you're working through right now. So this is a good way to kind of show. So you can get weapons. Okay, so get in front of that green box there. Nice, to pick up some weapons. Good.
Get a coin.
Nice, get your coins. Have a snack.
This is pretty great, I gotta say.
Nice. Good job. So you finished tutorial, you got some, and there's your map. And you're racing from bank to bank here.
I love the pencil draw, the art.
The art is amazing. And then you're in this dark tunnel, and you can just do auto drive. You can pick up coins, and you come out of the tunnel. Nice.
Oh, I'm so good at this game.
You are so good at this game. You are.
I've seen AHA's take on me like 1,000 times, so
yeah. This reminded me of it a lot.
So I think that makes me good at this game. Yeah. Take on me. Oh yeah. Cool. I love it. This is great.
It's fun. It's
so
really,
unique.
really. Kittens, cars, and guns, you guys.
It's called Kitten Taxi.
Kitten Taxi.
Awesome. Cool. I'm going to stop because it's really loud here. It's really loud in front of me. I don't know how well it was coming through on the show.
It also supports Google Play games. You sign in with your Google account. It says, hey, who do you want to show your gameplay to? Really, really nice. Very fast, easy ramp up. Kitten Taxi.
Awesome. Kitten Taxi.
Taxis.
What a great art approach. I love it. I want more of that
really
kind of that approach. That's so I want to say it's so unique, but it's pencil art.
Pencil drawing.
So
right?
you
don't see that in apps.
No,
ever.
in apps you never see that ever. So that's awesome. Love it.
I mean, the icon is a kitten like with a machine gun. I mean, I'm not trying to support violence here, but it's pretty badass.
It is.
Try it just to see the graphics.
Very good pick. So that is Kitten Taxi. Russell, you're going to have to compete with that. Do you think you can do it? Can you bring it?
My app is really boring now. I'm sad.
It's okay. We're appealing to different audiences, I think. All three of ours are different.
I need a kitten taxi to make myself feel better now.
Yeah. That's okay. I have it installed, so I'll try my best to spruce it up as I show it off.
All right, so the app I wanted to show is Confide. I'm really picky when it comes to things like secure messaging. I think that a lot of secure messaging apps are kind of gimmicky, especially because on mobile devices they are so easy to defeat. But on Confide, what made it cool is that you have, people that are on the same app. So you and I connected earlier, and I sent you a message. And when you tap on that message, you get this kind of blocked out where the message there. When you swipe your finger across it, it will reveal the message, but then cover it back up so that the message can't be just screenshotted and shared unless you screenshot every single pad and then stitch it all together. But you can screenshot it. You can drag your finger across it and see the message. And when you press done, the message is completely obliterated and it cannot be recovered.
Wow.
So as far as secure messaging goes, or even just kind of a fun way to send secret messages to friends, this was a neat way of doing things that I thought it was very clever. It's visually I really dig how it looks. And the setup was very simple.
That is cool. So this is the welcome message that they send you. You can send a confidential message to any email address or phone number. Very cool. So yeah, and I like the design of it too. Although sometimes it's hard to see what's underneath your finger. But I suppose that's kind of the point. Cool stuff. Have you been using this to message with people? Like, have you found a good kind of number of people using it?
I have a couple of people that I send something similar to secure messages to, and this has been a fun way of doing it. And it's also something that I have a couple of friends that play games where secure messaging across a room or private messaging across a room for games ends up being an important thing, just kind of to make it feel more authentic, I guess. So it was more for fun in my case than it was for practicality. But if you're interested in secure messaging, this was definitely a cool way to go.
Awesome. So that is called Confide. It is free. Check it out in the Play Store. And it's my turn. I'm bringing an app that, all three apps today are completely different. Mine is for you 3D modeler, your budding 3D modelers out there. And I say that because I am not a 3D modeler. I do not have a 3D printer or anything like that. I still found this app a lot of fun to play around with. Last night I was with my 4-year-old daughter. We were using those block sets, to build like a big castle or whatever. And after it was done, I was like, a picture's nice, but what about a 3D model of the castle? And Autodesk released an app a couple of weeks ago called 123D Catch. And it's basically a way to use your phone to scan in objects into a 3D world, right? So now I'm not very good at this. This was my very first attempt at using it. But there's the 3D model of the castle, and I'm really bad at maneuvering through it. Some of the UI is a little challenging to use. You can see it kind of picked up a lot of stuff in the background and everything. And if you go onto AutoCAD's website, you can use their tools to kind of eliminate the couch and all that kind of stuff, and really just kind of narrow it down to just the item that you're looking to model, which is this castle that I'm having a hard time rotating around. I wish I could center it on the castle, which was kind of the point. But if you put both fingers down, it kind of drags it up, down, and around. Single finger does the rotate around the images. But basically, so that's my castle of blocks. And then while I was here, I put the Android guy that was painted to look like the Twit bug on the round table here and did a quick scan of it. It didn't turn out so hot. Apparently I missed the back in some way, because you can kind of see it's kind of hollow in the back. Let me see. It's really hard to do this sideways. There you go. It's kind of hard to see that, but regardless, there's the Android guy from Twit. So basically, essentially what this tool is this is a way to capture things in the real world and turn them into 3D objects that you can then go into Autodesk site and turn into something that maybe you could model or whatever down the line. And I should show you just real quick how it's done. It's kind of a step-by-step process. You have to take a bunch of photos. Click this plus up at the top here, start a new capture, and it gives you this interface. Now, it's kind of like a photosphere. As you move around objects, you see this little circle. It's hard for me to show off because the camera's fixed, but there's the plane that is low to the ground, and there's the plane that is above the object. So I could, you know, kind of find a fixed place for the Moto 360 and start filling in these white dots down at the bottom with blue dots, which essentially means that that picture has been taken, and then rotate around it, take more, and they say the more pictures you do, the better your model is going to be after the fact. Takes a little bit of time, and I'm sure it's one of those things that the more you do it, the better you get at it. But then once you've got it modeled enough, you can kind of go through. And the processing on this isn't necessarily done inside the device. It uploads all of those photos to Autodesk, and they process it on their end. I found with the castle, it took about an hour to process before I got something back. Yeah, that was a really good shot of what it's doing. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. That it's so cool that, like, this is one of those examples of you literally have a computer in your pocket nowadays, and you can do some really cool stuff with that device that's in your pocket. You can create a 3D model of the world that surrounds you. Maybe this is a glimpse into what Project Tango is going to be at some point, but you can do it with your device right now, and it's a lot of fun. Autodesk creates some really interesting apps for mobile, and this is just one of them, so I encourage you to check out their offerings. So this is 123D Catch, and yeah, check it out, see what you can do. There's kind of a social community as well, so you can post your stuff up there and see what, you know, what models other people have created and everything, and you can waste some time doing this. So there you go. 123D Catch, it is free, and check it out.
Cool.
So there you go. 3 very different apps this week. Go to AAApoll.com/179 to cast your vote for your favorite app of the week. Is it 123D Catch, Confide, or Kitten Taxi? Man, I have a feeling this is going to be one of those like split decisions across the board because they're all pretty great. There you go. Kitten Taxi, by the way, is out on top at this point.
Early returns.
Yeah,
are never indicative.
You never know.
Well, you know, kittens and taxis.
Yeah.
With guns.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty strong presence this week, Gina.
Thank you, Jason. The other two are really good too, so we'll see.
We'll see where it ends up. But that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and Russell, thank you for coming on. Kind of last minute. I guess I asked you yesterday, and I appreciate you being able to do this. It's always great having you on the show, man.
Yeah, it's always fun coming on and hang out with you guys.
Right on. Where can people find your work online? This is kind of your opportunity to plug whatever you want.
I am always at Google Plus /plus Russell Holly. I'm at geek.com, and I wrote a science fiction book recently that is available in the Google Play Store. It is all about space monsters and terrible behavior, and how if you're a jerk, you're going to get eaten by space monsters.
I love it, man. Because you put it up on Kickstarter, funded. I funded it as well. I was happy to fund it because I just love seeing people I know do cool stuff and make it happen.
I think we have funded each other's crowdsourcing.
Hey. Cool.
Nice.
We're even.
Nice.
No, it was nothing like that at all. It was seriously just, you know, cool people doing awesome stuff. Gina, you've got Think Up. Russell, you did the book, and great job with that. And now it's available. So it's not just available through the Kickstarter. You actually have it on Amazon and all the places.
It's on Amazon. Right? It's in the Google Play Store. It is available in both of those places digitally, and will be available physically by the end of the month, I think. Yeah, the Play Store, by the way, is the better of the two experiences because I don't like Amazon quite so much after that experience.
Yeah.
But you can check the book out in both places. It is called The Space Monster Anti-Survival Guide.
Right on. How cool, man. So what was your experience writing it? Was it harder than you thought? Is this your first kind of novel that you've written?
This was my first time doing something to this scale. I had written technical books before. Like I wrote a book on Android tablets for for A-Press a year or two ago. So this was my first kind of creative writing thing, and that was a very new experience because I kind of had to set my own goals and limitations and, you know, kind of force myself. And my book is on sale on Google Play. I had no idea.
There you go.
I just purchased it. This is awesome. Way to go.
So yeah, it was definitely a fun experience, and you know, being my own boss in that situation where I kind of had to set my own deadlines was a unique challenge for me. So that was definitely fun.
Unique challenge, but a good skill to have if you can pull that off. Because
absolutely,
otherwise
and
you just float.
I got made fun of a lot because I actually delivered a Kickstarter on time, and apparently that's I was doing that wrong. I should have delayed it by 3 months like everyone else.
Right on. Well, I'm super excited that it went so well, and that now you're appearing in all these places and everything. I love it. So good job there. Yeah, thanks. And we'll definitely have you back again soon. We really appreciate you coming on the show anytime you can make it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So Gina, of course, Think Up, of course, is what you have going on right now. What's the news?
Yeah, thinkup.com. Give it a try. It's for people who use Twitter and Facebook, people who make stuff like awesome science fiction books, which I have just purchased from the Play Store, or like who have a podcast or who are doing a thing, trying to kind of build their audience. Sign up for Think Up, free trial. It'll kind of give you it's analytics, but it's kind of fun, quirky, weird analytics for regular people. So when I'm not working on Think Up, though, I co-host This Week in Google here on the Twit Network, and that airs on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and that's with Leo and Jeff, and we'll be on tomorrow. You should stop on by. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, Think Up's great. I love it, and I love that because I get the updates every day, and I always check them and see what struck a nerve and what was forgotten. And there's always new, different types of insights that appear in there that kind of surprise you. And you go, oh.
The evil plan is working, if that is true.
Yes.
That's what we've been working towards. So good. I'm so glad.
It's all about. So good job there. I love it.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, Bryan, other than wearing a Moto 360 on your wrist, are you going to wear it to bed, or are you going to put it in the dock?
I will probably put it in the dock because I'd be worried about the battery. But I have to give props to Russell for the tip on that watch face with the red. I like the red with the the
I definitely. I thumbed through all the colors, and as soon as the red stuck out, somehow the way that screen displays red is really nice.
Yeah, it looks cool. So bravo, sir, as the Moto 360 whisperer.
I am the Moto 360 whisperer. Apparently, I'm gonna add that to my resume right now.
But when I'm not doing all about Android, I work on Know How with Padre, which I believe his show is coming up after this.
That's right, Padre's Corner.
And that's about it. I'll try not to play apps when I'm not supposed to next time.
It's okay. We understand.
We forgive you. Unlike Ron, we forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are an easy crowd tonight. Back to you, Jason. Oh, whoops.
Oh, no. You just love that drop. You love the apps. You want to marry the apps drop.
It's a very cool little video there.
Yeah, I know. You can find me at about.me/Jason Howell. Follow my musical exploits at yellowgoldmusic.com. Before we get to the outro stuff, you should be reminded that we have the best of 2014 episode coming like a steamroller. It's going to be here before you know it. So I would appreciate your help. If there's any moments that you've seen in the past year, calendar year 2014, that you really like, that you remember, and that you know the episode number 2 and approximate time of the episode of when it appeared, but really any information is valuable to me. Let me know. It'll help me to create a better end of year episode for you. And I just love these best of episodes. It's so much fun to go back in time and kind of see the things that cracked us up and see how we got things totally wrong. That's probably the best part. So there you go. Go to twit.tv/bestof to help me out. Help a brother out, won't you? But that is it for this week. Leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. We never get voicemails anymore. You never call. You can send us an email at AAA@twit.tv. We're on Twitter. We are at Android Show. You can find us on Reddit. We have a subreddit, twitaaa.reddit.com, and that helps to inform the content for every episode. Show notes and past episodes can be found at twit.tv/AAA, as well as YouTube and iTunes for episodes. And finally, you can always catch us live every Tuesday That's 5 p.m. Pacific, live.twit.tv. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android.